7:22 and 45 seconds.
Oh, yeah, I gotta set a timer, an alarm.
Nah, you're good.
I mean, you gotta be gone by 8.
Well, I start the shoot at 9 at a pickleball court next to my house.
Okay.
So it's like
It's loose.
saying 8 is me trying to play it safe.
Okay, good. Okay, well, here we go.
Okay.
Well,
Sweet.
welcome to the Only Competition podcast. My name is Spencer Frame, and I have here with me my best friend, Hyrum Dyches. Yeah. The double thumbs up.
Yeah. Finger guns.
Awesome. So the reason it's called the Only Competition is because I wanted people to be motivated to be their best selves, but not feel pressure to beat anyone else out. I feel like that's really prevalent right now with social media and always comparing yourself to others, whereas really the only thing holding you back from success is yourself. Mm-hmm. And success looks different to everyone, right? And so really all you need to do is set your own goals of what you think will make you happy and make yourself the only competition. So that's where the name comes from. And so that's enough about the podcast. Hyrum, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks for having me on today's episode. This is actually really exciting. I really liked when Spencer called me up last night and was talking about the only competition. I mean, I think that's a simple way of addressing like a very, a very flexible topic that can, I think, touch every one of us in some different way that we might need it. Some of us are more competitive than others. Some are just don't really understand who they are and what that even means, or what power can be behind understanding who you are. So anyways, I just think the idea of the only competition is I don't think there's any listener that can jump on this podcast and not find something like a gold nugget for themselves.
Thanks, man.
So that's great. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
You asked me about myself. I'm Hyrum Dyches. I am now the owner and founder of what we call Marlowe Sport.
Heck yeah.
Previously Ernie Pickleball. And yeah, so we run it's pretty much a pickleball brand, both for paddles, accessories, apparel. We're still really young in this development, but we're moving aggressively, and we're really excited.
Yeah, so. You're just starting out, and that's kind of what I kind of want to move with this podcast is I want a lot of entrepreneurs to be on here. Like, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I love that whole world, and so it's cool to see you tackling that.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about your pickleball paddles, though. They're not just any pickleball paddle.
That is true.
And your brand is not just any brand. Like, you have a lot of meaning behind it.
Okay, I would say
Tell me about it.
Our brand is probably, I'd almost say, even may sound dumb, but like the brand is what we sell more than the product.
I like it.
And it's just because, pickleball has been such a trendy sport.
Oh yeah, it's blown up.
It's I would say one of, if not the fastest growing sport in America.
Absolutely.
Over the last few years. But that said,
other than croquet.
Yeah. Croquet has its place, sorry guys.
Yeah.
I should have addressed the number one. So the number 2 fastest growing sport is pickleball.
There you go.
And we just, simply put, we noticed that in the pickleball world, like, it was so big to be like, hey, let's get something really sporty and flashy and of course, like, quality. And I think a number of those things have been met since it kind of erupted, and some of these bigger brands just started leaping into it.
Yeah.
The thing we noticed, especially amongst, like, I'd say like the top 20 brands, there was not a single brand, in my opinion, that had really nailed down retro, which in itself is another, you could call it, trend that's been around for a long time. I mean,
yeah.
Anyways, I can go on and on. Retro itself has existed for decades, and even it continually emerges back in its own phases.
Especially right now.
So to me, I'm somebody that, like, I love retro, but I also am a huge fan of, like, clean and minimal. So that's why our 3 pillars, when we decided to launch this whole thing, even as small as it was when we first started, was we wanted something clean, minimal, retro.
Yeah.
Clean just because there's just so many, I don't know. I think it's still just like people making paddle designs off of like, I don't know, like a Canva free account or something, which is not bad. It's just, it's what it is. When you're seeing that people can sell $1 million worth of equipment off of that, you're like, I think we can make it cleaner. Minimal, just because pickleball companies were so big about throwing their logos and like overblown design
designs
on the paddles, super busy, it pretty much felt like a walking advertisement for
Yeah.
all their buyers to showcase their name.
Yeah.
And we just thought, the fun thing about style and design is the ability to make it your own. So that's why we clean, minimal, and then retro. So that's just me saying,
I like it.
what makes us stand out are those three pillars that we really prioritize in everything we do. Our paddles, we made it very clear if we were going to get into this market, we're going to find the best of the best material, top quality engineering, always trying to find something that can be a more like patent tech involvement. Anyway, so.
Well, here's a question. I've only played pickleball like, I don't know, maybe like 10 times in my life.
Yeah.
So I don't know much about pickleball paddles.
Yeah.
Let's say I wanted to get a pickleball paddle from you. Where would I do that? How much would it cost?
Great.
Like, which one should I get?
marlowsport.us is our website.
Okay.
You can't really miss it. Here's the other guy that really sells the brand is our little ghost.
The little ghost.
Little Marlow. We call him Sly Guy. But yeah, you'll find it marlowsport.us.
Sport.us. And which paddle should I get? If I'm just, I don't, I'm not a professional pickleball paddle, pickleball player.
Yeah.
What paddle do I get?
Yeah, I'd say get the we call it the essential paddle.
Okay.
That's the one that we made durable to last a long time for anyone wanting to get in the sport and like get it down. That comes in 4 colors. You can pick out of those. We have a mid-tier edgeless paddle that'll be releasing, and that'll be like our way to help people climb towards like a very expensive pro paddle.
Cool.
That's what I recommend. Start low, get the essentials, technique, style, pick the game right, and then
And then
buy
once you
up
start
to it.
beating everyone.
Yeah. Too many times. I'll just make a quick note. Too many times people buy very expensive paddles because they're just like, I want to dive into the sport, and they get very expensive, heavy hitting paddles, and they hurt people. So that's why I just say start
They
for your
hurt
own sake.
people?
Oh yeah. Like some
What?
of these paddles will, if you swing hard enough, I mean, they're going well over 70 miles an hour. And
Wait,
you
like
get
hurt
that.
your elbows, or you're hurting the competition?
Oh, well, I mean, there's so many cases of people that end up going with like eye surgeries and problems because somebody
geez.
contacted the ball at full speed into their face. They weren't wearing safety glasses.
No kidding. Do you wear safety glasses?
Sometimes I do. I had a retinal detachment
Oh my goodness.
a while ago, but nonetheless, I try to take precautions.
Well, this just got way more intense.
That's the
Is
thing.
pickleball going to start wearing gear, like protective gear, like football?
Great question, and we
Diving?
can probably have a separate episode to talk more about that. But
Yeah.
it's true that they took a lot of limitations this last year to restrict certain paddles that were getting too fast.
Interesting.
They hadn't done that.
Interesting.
The sport's so young; it's growing so fast. So technology's following. So in a linear to that, and they found a few paddles that were like, this is going to make this sport start to feel like racquetball.
Yeah.
And they don't want it to turn into racquetball.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds kind of like the NFL where that new rule where they don't run right when they kick it. They wait until the player catches it.
Yep.
To stop head injuries, which is new this year.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's wild. When I first saw it, I was like, wait, what's going on?
What do you think about that?
I think it's smart. I think it's great to adapt sports for the health of people.
Yeah.
Make sure, again, one of the other focuses is like of this podcast is like, don't make one thing your thing and that's it. Like, be healthy and balanced in life.
Yeah.
But
Great.
you're an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and one question I have that I think a lot of people will be interested in hearing is if you can pass on one piece of advice or one thing you've learned to all entrepreneurs, like any entrepreneur that's wanting to get out there and start, and you could only say one thing to them as the most important thing that would help them succeed, what would that thing be?
This is tough because
I know it's kind of broad,
but to be fair to the answer, if
Yeah.
there's one thing, there's plenty of things that an entrepreneur will learn in time. My answer would be embrace the momentum. And what I mean by that, it can mean multiple things, but my thing to any entrepreneur getting into their own craft, starting it up, you're gonna run into a lot of things Some things are going to not go your way at all, the way you expected. And you will inevitably like put all your eggs in a certain basket, and that will not pan out. And you can either
that a few times.
yeah, it just happens. It's just how the nature of somebody being excited to embrace and like find the fire, the passion, and the dream.
Yeah.
It's too hard to separate that emotion and that drive that you run into stuff. But I think when you focus too much on the milestones and like it must be this, it has to get to that, and those are suddenly become like the perks, the bonuses that come along the way, or the indicators. You're just busy creating a flow, creating a momentum. I think you are less impacted by the things that go wrong, and that you're just reaffirmed by the things that go right without going too emotion heavy into each of those.
That makes sense. So like the milestones and the goals help you focus and let you shoot high. And if you don't hit them the way you want, or, the way you thought you would, at least you still have that momentum. So don't focus on that as a failure. Let that momentum propel you towards the next thing.
I think you said it really well.
Milestone, or
I think
maybe
you
it's
said that
completely
well.
Different company.
Yes, I think you said that well, because when you do focus on the momentum, everything feels like a learning experience.
Yeah,
like you said, like, oh, that totally went south. Remind me not to do that again on my journey getting to the next thing, as opposed to like, shoot, that went bad. What am I supposed to do? Now we're stuck here, and you're like, yeah, you were supposed to like keep moving down the river, and you got out to go think about the boat a little more, kind of thing. So
take a breath, breathe.
yeah, take a breath, breathe. Inhale, exhale.
Awesome. Well, actually, that brings me to my next question. What is a failure you've had in business that's taught you something that would be valuable to anyone else who, let's say, and maybe failure isn't the right word, but something that happened in business that didn't go your way, that you're like, dang, this is huge. I know you're just kind of talking about situations like that. Is there one in particular with anything? I know we've done projects together that haven't gone our way.
Yeah.
And we've done things that have been successful. What for you would you say is something that's taught you how to get past that?
Yeah, and this is me to simply clarify. Do you want like an experience, or do you want
absolutely.
Okay,
yep.
Great. An experience of mine was actually getting I think it's the same mentality of that all eggs in one basket thing. I'm somebody that can quickly jump to like envision how this is going to turn out. And again, when you're chasing your dream, you always think of how the dream is and not the nightmares along the way.
Yeah.
So, which you should, by the way. Let the thing that motivates you get you through it, not the things that drive the fear within it. So, but with that said, like when I was getting funding for Marlowe Sport, the first time, it was kind of this thing where I'm like, this is how it's going to go. Like, we're going to get X amount, and I'm going to allocate it to this, and it's going to go into that. And I went so deep into that, not to like project it, like get rational projections to figure it out. I was so caught into like
the result.
Okay, like once I get this investor to jump on, or this loan to clear through, we have all this money to use.
Yeah.
And honestly, in all fairness, I went into it and I actually I did not get the investor to jump on like I expected.
Yeah.
And as soon as that happened, suddenly that was where I learned the lesson of I didn't have a plan B. I didn't have and that plan B in my case, could have been so many things. And it could have been like, okay, before I even talk about getting all this money, how can I just like grind this out with very little income? If it was like my house and my family depended on this in the next 30 days, and I had to make something happen, like I could have had that and said like, okay, now knowing that, if I go and get a loan, or I go and get an investor to hop on and fund this, what are the extras I can add to this? So knowing if it didn't work out, I'm like, okay, this is what I do. I anticipated this, and I didn't plan ahead enough to have a couple other plan B, maybe plan C, down to plan G.
How many entrepreneurs stop when they don't get that funding, from the investor?
Dude, right? You probably met people that were like, yeah, I tried this thing once, and it was like, oh, what happened? And I think that's one of the key things, is actually the finances behind it.
Yeah. Well, and owning up and being responsible for, if an investor doesn't invest and you stop doing your business because you didn't have a plan B, whose fault is that? Right?
It is you all the way. It is you all the way.
Yeah. Oh, I've had that issue before. I put my eggs in one basket before, and it just went south hard. And I'm like, and I look back and I'm like, there were like 5 or 6 things I could have done to keep that thing going.
Yeah.
But I didn't prepare in advance.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was just demotivating enough to where I just stopped.
Yeah.
And that happens so much.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people do that.
It's so true. And that's,
And it's not even, I mean, that's anything in life, really.
Isn't that funny? Like, isn't that funny that entrepreneurs, I think so many of us, whether we are entrepreneurs or not, love to see the story play out for entrepreneurs.
Oh, yeah.
Because these are kind of like the gladiators of business.
Oh, yeah. We eat that stuff up.
Right? It's just like, it's all about like, what are they going to do when everything that you could say everything they hold dear. I'm just going to dramatize it. Everything they hold dear lives off of what they do next.
Yeah.
Kind of mentality.
Sometimes quite literally.
Yeah. Honestly.
They're providing for their family.
I can't think of a single person that actually went like truly what we deem successful in a career field of entrepreneurship that didn't risk in some shape or form, like risk it all to make it all happen.
Oh, yeah. And Grant Cardone talks about that, right?
Oh,
Making your business, like it's your moral duty to provide, and you have to succeed and like go for it. Give it your all.
Yeah. So that's just funny when you said that, like with entrepreneurs, that's so true that we are the people in the ring making. I would say it's enjoyable to follow through because it really is like life applied, just in a business standpoint. But everything that an entrepreneur experiences is pretty much what any of us would experience in life in some shape or form.
I love that. Okay, so to summarize what you got, your main piece of advice for every entrepreneur is focus on momentum.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Focus on the momentum. Set the really extreme milestone, the goal. Make it reasonable enough, but as you go, if you don't hit that, don't make that the deciding factor of whether you stop or continue.
Yeah.
You're going to continue no matter what.
Yeah.
Focus on the momentum.
Yep.
And also have a plan B.
Yep.
So don't just, throw caution to the wind and not consider that there's going to be other things that are going to happen in business. Have a plan B, take responsibility for that. So then if you don't succeed in the milestone you have, focus on the momentum and switch to your plan B.
Exactly.
That sounds foolproof.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Okay, well, here's another question. And this is more on the mental health side of things, because we can get super hyper-focused on entrepreneurship. At least for me, there have been a lot of times in my life where I am so focused on entrepreneurship, I'm losing sleep, I'm losing family time, I'm not talking with friends, I'm just isolated and just... I'm plugged in, man.
Yeah.
It's fun. Entrepreneurship is very fun. It feels addicting.
Yeah.
I love it. It's like a game.
It's like a game. Totally.
It's so
I was
fun.
just thinking that.
It's like a puzzle too. Like there's always some problem you got to fix, and boy, do I like fixing problems. And I'm a big one myself. But yeah, so like, and that's part of my journey is also helping fix myself and the way I see and view the world. So one question I have for you is, how do you stay grounded and balanced in your life, not letting things like entrepreneurship or fitness or whatever it is in your life that you absolutely love and are passionate about? How do you stay grounded in life?
That's a really good question.
Very hard for me to do. So I'm really interested in what you have to say.
I would say first and foremost, for my nature of who I am and what helps me with my own, you can call it like insecurities or predispositions, my human nature, is first accepting that it's okay to be human. That was important to me.
Yeah, don't be hard on yourself.
Without that piece, I just feel like the idea of being grounded is it's its own stress factor on top of the stresses you already have in life.
Yeah.
Think about it. Like if I was somebody that like I have to like go to work and then I have to take care of my family and then I have like some responsibilities within my church community and then I have to like own up to be the back to business owner and then jumping everywhere between that. You already mentioned like you need to find yourself to be grounded. But if I took it to be like I have to be grounded, now I'm like I just added a new thing that if I'm not doing that, everything else turns into like a crap show real fast. So or it just kind of almost emphasizes everything because I have no outlet. But the idea of being like, hey, it's okay to be human. It's okay, like if I worked longer than I expected that day, and my wife later is like, I thought we had like our time. Like,
It's our anniversary today.
oh yeah, again, that hasn't happened, but I wouldn't be surprised if at some point that happens. But if that does happen, like my job at that point is to first like accept who I am, of like that was an error, make it a learning experience.
Yeah.
Do not let it be anything more. Instead of saying I'm, me and Hannah have worked a lot on it, instead of saying like I'm so sorry for this, I'm sorry for that, I'm sorry for that. It's thank you for being patient. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for giving me another chance. Let me see what I can do to make this right.
I love that.
So that's I think like a key ideal or mantra, if you will, to ground myself.
I like that.
For my nature, that might apply to some people. It might not as much. Outside of that, I think the other piece of grounding that in my like when I'm like totally, I feel like in focus in life and I feel very grounded.
Yeah.
A lot of times is because I've already checked myself pretty well of like the whys in my life, and me being somebody that's Christian and really devoted to faith. When I find that I am checked myself to see like God is prioritizing my life, like I feel like that in itself feels very grounded, because my belief in God actually encompasses everything in the day-to-day, but it actually encompasses a lot of like the reasoning of my past and the like hope in my future. And I just feel like that alone helps me really take my time, my flaws, my talents all into perspective. That makes me feel grounded.
Dude, I love that. That's awesome. Yeah. In times where I find myself like hyper-focused or even obsessed with certain things, we both love music.
Yeah.
There's been times where, it's been like my whole childhood. I've always wanted to be some famous singer or some performer, right?
That's right. That's actually true.
Music creator. And oftentimes I become obsessed with that, and I've had to take a step back and really think about what I want in life, right?
Yeah.
Do I want a life where I'm famous? Everyone knows my name everywhere I go. Do I want that life? Do I want to be able to walk down the road without anyone noticing me? And hey, like if that's what you want, like great.
Yeah.
From what I've heard from a lot of famous people, and you have songs from really, really well-known, successful artists. They're just like, I want to be home with my family.
Yeah.
Like they're always singing about that. Like they're always singing about, I kind of hate being on tour. I kind of hate, what is it? The record label, right? Like I hate that the record label's making me do this. Like I hate that I'm constantly traveling. It's always a song back to their lover, back at home waiting for them. And it's like, that's great to have 10,000 people cheering your name and singing your song. That's great.
Yep.
Do you want that all the time?
Yeah.
Or is that to make the money, to be successful enough to do what really, really is like fulfilling?
Totally.
I love music. I mean, do you know anyone else more obsessed with music?
No.
Okay.
No,
So I really love music.
You are the king of
I love it. It is so fun.
music.
But I spend 4 hours doing music, and it doesn't fulfill me the same way I spend 30 minutes with my family. I could spend all day writing music, and it's fun, and it's so enjoyable.
Yeah.
But finding ground and balance. So that's something I'm trying to figure out, is how to ground myself with everything I've got going.
Yeah.
How do I stay grounded? And I think that's one thing to think about is, before you do anything, whatever it is, think about the most successful person in that field and what their life is like. Just think about it for a little bit. Is that what you want? Think about how they live their life. Is that who you want to be?
Yeah.
So that's something that, I mean, if you go all in, if you want to be the best basketball player, take the best basketball player and look at his or her life. Like, do you want that life?
Yeah.
So that's something that kind of helps put it in perspective. Don't sink, 10,000 hours to become a master in something. Don't sink 10,000 hours into something and then realize afterwards that it's not what you want.
Yeah.
Maybe be proactive and responsible, right? And think, think ahead of what you want. So
Totally.
that's something I've been thinking about recently. But
Great thoughts.
here's what I think I would give to any entrepreneur as advice would be discipline, not motivation. Motivation, not discipline.
Ooh.
I saw a graph the other day. Motivation is like, if you just look at like the amount of, I don't know, hype or energy or whatever towards anything you have over time, it's like motivation is like huge spike and then it just tapers off. Like it's just gone.
Okay.
Whereas discipline is just the same amount of hype consistently over time.
I would agree with that.
That would be my recommendation for every entrepreneur. Is it's great to be motivated and hyped about something, but the thing that's going to get you there is discipline. And the thing I've learned over many years is it's hard to be disciplined for something if all you're focused on is the milestone. If
Yeah.
that's what you think is going to make you happy,
Yeah.
you're probably going to be demotivated really quickly.
Yep.
Whereas if entrepreneurship, for example, or fitness or like whatever you're doing in life, if the process is the game and it's what's fun, discipline is so much easier. And if you
Yeah.
are disciplined and consistent, you're going to reach whatever goal you want.
Yep.
Not to reach the goal, because
Yep.
what you're doing is actually really fun
Yep.
and enjoyable, fulfilling, right?
Yeah, that's actually really true.
So that's something I've learned recently.
That is invaluable. That is something I'm actually learning myself. Yeah.
It's hard to do.
Well, it's too easy to want motivation. It's almost like, I don't know if you hear this mentality. When I first heard that people were like, it's actually its own dopamine rush to want to be a victim in life. I'd heard that once. I thought like,
interesting.
It's an interesting idea. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, that kind of makes sense to somebody that like, you feel something that's comfortable, and when it's easier to blame your circumstances than yourself, that is a victim mentality.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to jump into. I say that not to take that topic, more just to allude that is similar to momentum, where I feel like momentum itself has its own dopamine rush. Like it's so easy to just like experience this feeling of like, oh, the future is bright, all is going to go well, and I'm feeling it today. I am feeling it. And that has its own rush.
It
right?
does, yeah.
But that rush does not stick around.
I
Right?
like that.
So when that does fade off, what are you doing? What is keeping you doing it? And you hear this from so many. I mean, you got like Les Brown that like gets in your face about it and stuff like, when the days get rough, what are you gonna do? And it's like, yeah, but it's true. It really is that anyone that has done it long enough to do a business, you see enough failures that a lot of them stem back to like, what did you do with your time?
Yeah.
Especially on the days that you were not feeling it.
Yeah.
So anyways, I just second that. Your discipline comment, it can get you through really anything.
I like that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's pretty much the end of this podcast.
Cool.
I hope that was entertaining to somebody out there.